Hello everyone. This is going to be our first episode. My name is Dunja.
And my name is Ivana. Welcome to our first podcast episode.
So to just shortly introduce ourselves, we are sisters. We are from Serbia. We both live abroad, and I currently live in Spain.
And I live in Germany.
And in this podcast, we would like to tell you a bit about our journey so far. So, where we lived until now, what was our experience with different countries, with different societies, culture, basically all aspects of life abroad.
Yes, to say more about what we like, what we disliked, what we enjoyed a lot, what were some kind of
Obstacles.
so what we liked, what we disliked, what we enjoyed, what were some obstacles on our road, and to hear more about our experiences abroad.
Yes, because we deeply believe that this way we can make somebody else's journey and life abroad easier, better informed, and to get to do stuff faster than we did.
Yeah, to feel like they're not alone. And also, there are probably a lot of people who are planning to move into some country, and maybe it's good to in advance know what's waiting for them.
Yes, and also for people who are already living abroad to find information they might need at a given moment.
Yes. So we can start. So Dunja, tell me, since you are the oldest sister, you have actually much more experience with living abroad. And tell me and tell us where you lived so far.
I started with going to Austria. My first stay abroad was for 2 months in 2014. After that, definitely, I was also going back and forth for a while. Then in 2016, spring 2016, I moved for permanently to Austria. Yes, it was a bit, it was interesting and also a bit strange experience because actually I was leaving to Austria thinking that I'm leaving for a couple of months again. I left literally with one suitcase, and then it turned out that it's going to be more permanent because I got a student visa for 1 year. After student visa, I got a researcher visa and so on. So then it turned into a permanent stay in Austria. And then, so I was living in Austria for around 7 years, but in between, I went 2 times to Belgium. I was staying there both times, 3 months each. And this was also a really nice experience. I was there as a visiting student. And after that, in 2023, in January, I moved to Spain. And I live in Spain since then, but I also spent a couple of months in Hungary as a visiting researcher.
And what was your reason? You said you were going for a short period, but you stayed for a longer time. So what was the reason for going to Austria? Yes, it was like an internship at first, but what made you stay there, and what was your reason for moving?
I was actually a student in Serbia. I was enrolled as a PhD student in Serbia, but this felt that it's not really going to contribute, help me much in my further career. I felt a bit stuck. So at first I started looking for some internships abroad. And then this is how I found this internship in Austria. Actually, I found the institute that was going to host me. And then I managed to find a scholarship to go there for a couple of months in 2014. But once I stayed there for a while, I realized that I would like to stay there more permanently. So then I started looking for more permanent options, and I got enrolled as a PhD student in Austria, in Vienna, in September 2015. But then I was still not able to stay there permanently because I did not have funding at that moment. And I only managed to start with small funding in 2016, actually. And in 2017, I got more permanent funding. And since then, things are being a bit more stable for me.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to talk into very depth of your Austria journey in some of the next episodes. But as far as I understood it and what I heard is basically that you went there for a short stay to learn something, but then you realized that you like the life there much more. And for that reason, you decided that you want to stay there permanently and to go through all these visa applications and processes because you felt better at the institute and with the science there at all.
Yeah, definitely. So I liked the environment in general. It was not just the institute and the possibilities I had there regarding my career, but it was also the environment in general. I was living in a small village in Lower Austria. I felt very well there in many ways because it felt very safe. It felt the environment was really nice. There were a lot of possibilities, like things to do in your free time, like going hiking and swimming in the lakes. And it felt as a better life quality in general and more options to advance my career. So this is why I decided to stay there.
Yes.
And yes, we are going to talk about it in more depth in the future, maybe already in one of the next podcasts. But so Ivana, can you tell us now a little bit about your journey so far?
As we said, I'm also living abroad, currently in Germany. And I've been in Germany for like a year and a half now, officially. But for 3 months now, or 2.5 months now, I am living in Chile. But yes, I am a student in Germany. And before moving to Germany, we stayed for a month and a half in Norway. I stayed for a month and a half in Hungary. I had multiple stays for over a month in Germany at the same place where I'm studying. So I already could get this feeling of how it would be to move to this place. So one of the reasons why I chose Germany for my studies and why I chose Kiel was exactly because I was already going there for a couple of times and I really felt nice there. I met really nice people and I really liked how they do science there. So I applied for a master thesis opportunity and a master thesis program and I got enrolled. And at the moment, yeah, I'm studying there.
Very good. And I think what we missed to mention is that we are both biologists. I am aquatic ecologist, freshwater ecologist, and Ivana is a marine biologist. She's studying her master to be a marine biologist.
Yeah, my program's name is biological oceanography, which means that we can actually work with the oceans and see how the oceans affect organisms there, the animals living there or plants. But I would like to focus mainly on the organisms and algae. So therefore, to be a marine biologist, yeah, you're right.
Yes, it's also essential for the context because I think we are going to talk about many things that are actually quite general. Okay, maybe a bit more focused to the life of the researchers, but actually things we are going to talk about are quite general for everyone living abroad. Maybe a bit more focused on the female perspective, but this is something that is going to be very general for all foreigners living, I would say, more or less in one of the EU countries, or more specifically in the countries where we have been.
Yes. You can always send us questions and we will answer them. So if you have some specific questions, if we can answer them, we will always try.
Yes, we are happy to answer the questions. We are happy to discuss all potential problems that we face and also problems that any one of you might have. So yeah, let's share our experiences. And even so you were saying that you were living in Germany and that you were also living in several other countries. What was actually your motivation to move abroad?
Yeah, so I mean, growing up, I was actually seeing you in Austria, right? We were visiting you many times there, and I saw how nice the environment looks like. The people were really kind, and I saw how freely you can, at your institute, you were really walking there whenever you wanted to. You had like a house where you were staying at the institute, and you could walk the rooms and labs and everything. It was not restricted as it was, I don't know, as if they were guarding something very valuable, like they trusted people. And when I started studying in Belgrade, because I already was thinking about moving for my bachelor studies, but I have to face the fact that I didn't speak German, and most of the courses were in German. And my English, I spoke English prior to starting my bachelor's, but I didn't trust it. So I was really afraid to make such a big step during my bachelor's. Then during my studies in Serbia, I kind of was fed up with this distrust. We couldn't really move much. Our university, I mean in Belgrade, biological faculty, is in 3 or 4 buildings. We didn't have a building of our own. So we had to move a lot, and there was this distrust, and students could not have many opportunities for getting in touch with real science, with doing something hands-on. So I was always going for these international internships, and I felt like, okay, there people want to teach me, and there people want to take their time, which we got to learn in Serbia, that is very valuable from the professor, and of course we respect that. But they were taking their time to teach us stuff, and they were interested in us and in us as a person. So I decided that I really want to, and as I said, like I was already going to Kiel for a few times for an internship. So I felt really nice there, and I felt that if I was moving there, I wouldn't be so afraid because I already knew so many people from there. And yeah, I really think I made a good decision because, again, as I said, there is so much trust. I'm working as a student assistant, and I can work during the weekends, during the working days. I can choose my hours. They don't make me work during the weekends, but it's just the point that even when no one is in the building, I am trusted to be there. So I feel much better there, like working wise, but also living situation is much better because I don't know how many people know this, but in Serbia, the air is very polluted. So whenever we go there, we are not used to it. We have some throat issues and some coughing, and we can notice the difference now. The quality of the life is much better overall.
Yes, I agree. I think for me, the first thing that I experienced, what you mentioned actually, and it was the biggest, I would not say shock because it was in a positive way, but for me, this level of trust that existed everywhere you go, actually, I mean, I would not generalize because I was at the different places in Europe, and this level of trust doesn't exist everywhere, or at least not in all areas of life. But to me, when I moved to Austria, to Lower Austria, I could find this higher level of trust basically in every aspect of life. For example, the institute, as you said, we could work whenever we want. There was nobody really checking you, how much time you are spending, nobody controlling you if you broke something while you were doing your work during the day or something like that. Then there was more trust when I went to, for example, the administration office. If I said that I don't have a certain document, but I can get it next time I get there, they were not holding my process just because I did not have this document at the moment. They were telling me, okay, if you say that you can bring it the next time you bring it, and in the meantime, we are going to proceed. For me, this meant a lot because I was, until then, I was used so much to, if you don't have a photocopy of one document, you are out, you need to find a copy machine, and yeah, maybe not even manage to do it that day, but the next day. So whenever I was doing something in Serbia, administration wise, earlier, I was like kind of planning a week. So I start on Monday, and then, of course, if I finish on Monday, great. But usually it was never Monday. So this for me was a huge, like a relief and very refreshing. And as I was living in Lund, it was also amazing because this was, so the village was called Lund. It was a very small village, and literally, I could leave the wallet on the middle of the street and come 2 hours later. It was like nobody is going to touch it until you come back and pick it. So we saw all sorts of situations. I was leaving my wallet, my purse in my shopping cart. I was going all over the shop, and then I was coming back to pick it up after some minutes. I was leaving my car unlocked everywhere. The life was way more relaxing in that sense because I didn't have to think about many things that I was used to think about, which was just basically burdening me.
Yeah, I would
Normally.
say that in Serbia, that situation is imaginable. If you leave your phone or your wallet anywhere, even in our hometown, not in the center of Belgrade, but in Belgrade, of course, that's it. I mean, you won't see it again. Or if you don't lock your car, it's either gonna get stolen or it's gonna get robbed. I was never robbed, but there were attempts for people to rob me. And I was always so scared. And in every place where I went, I was always looking behind my shoulder, always. Like when I'm walking the street, I'm always like looking behind my shoulder to see who is following me or who is walking behind me. And if it's more than one person, or if it's, unfortunately, if it's a guy that's a bit bigger than me, I would cross the street. And it was so unimaginable that when you were in Austria, when we were going places, that I didn't feel like I need to do that. I had a habit, but I felt so safe. And in Germany, the city is a bit bigger than places in Austria are, but still, like people are in buses with their backpacks on their backs and they are not looking at them. They are not paying attention. And many times I just thought like, but what if somebody robs you? How can you not look at your back? Why are you not holding your backpack with your hands? But I never heard of a person being robbed. I am still having this kind of bitter feeling that maybe I should look out for my stuff, and I'm still kind of guarding my stuff, but I see people being so relaxed, and that means a lot.
Yes, what I said, I would like to point out that this is really not everywhere like this. That not like in Serbia is everything is like unsecure, and in the rest, like in the EU, everywhere is super safe. So not even the whole Austria is like this. I have friends who were almost robbed in Vienna, in Salzburg. So these things happen, especially in bigger places, but there are many places that are very safe. And also other countries like when you speak about Spain, yeah, there are many places, some even hot spots where it's very likely that you are getting robbed. So yes, it's not everywhere like this, but I have to say that the quality of life that I had in Austria was very good. And also the quality of life that I have now is very good, but there are differences. There are quite some differences between Austria and Spain, about which I am going to talk in one of the following episodes.
Yes, in the following episodes, we're going to compare in more detail. And as you said, not every place in these countries are safe, but the places that we are used to and the places that we live in do feel more safe. And of course, in the bigger cities and in different areas, there are higher chances of you getting robbed. And of course, we can discuss that into more details and share. But those are the reasons, I think, why we both kind of chose the places where we exactly are now and where we live now, because there are just some things that we don't have to think about. There are some things that are just easier.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Yes. And it gives it up perspective, I think. If you can plan things that you would like to achieve with a good chance of managing it, then it's worth it. And it's worth it even counting the downside of it, that being an expat, which I'm pretty sure many people can relate with, is not so easy for other reasons, because we are all away from our families, at least some part of it, from some friends. This is a price that we pay for it. And this is something that we would also discuss more in more details, of course, in the future. So as you could notice, so I live in Madrid. I moved to Austria completely alone. I had my family visiting me many times, but I never lived with any family member in Austria. Now I live here with my husband, but yeah, now I have my husband here. And of course, now I have some new friends. I had new friends also in Austria. I have friends here now, but this is, of course, something that I had to work a lot on. And not just like finding new friends, but also keeping the old friendships, like keeping the friendships from Serbia, not losing the contact with the people that I've been friends with for many years. Also, now when I am in Spain, trying to keep contact with people that I met in Austria and I became friends with in Austria, because these were very valuable friendships at the time, and they are still now. Of course, it's a lot of effort. Of course, it's a this good kind of effort, but these things can be hard sometimes.
Yes, but maybe it will be interesting to actually compare your moving process between Austria and Spain, because in Austria you didn't know anyone at the time, and with moving to Spain you had your husband to help you out with the papers and the whole process. And now you know so much more people, and you have them in your life, and maybe it was also easier when you have people to complain to and just let it out. And maybe it also made your move and the whole process easier, even though it was hard knowing that you are going to leave Austria.
Well, I mean, I would, yes, I would definitely like to talk about it in the future in more details. But what I can say about moving to Austria compared to moving to Spain, there are many differences first, and there are also many differences between my life here and my life in Austria, because the nature of it is like completely different, and also the nature of my move. Because when I was moving to Austria, I was basically totally alone, and I didn't know anybody in Austria. I was getting to know people step by step. And yes, from that perspective, it was a bit more difficult because I did it all on my own, basically. I had a lot of help from my colleagues, later friends. But yeah, it was mostly doing many things at the beginning alone. But from the other perspective, managing the administration in Austria is incomparably easier than in Spain. Because when I was moving to Spain, I had my partner, now husband, in Spain, who could help me if I had some problems with the language and stuff. But sometimes there were situations that he also could not understand what the requirement is or where to find this information. So administration in Spain is way more complicated, so much that even Spanish people don't understand it. And here I knew more people, but it was mostly the family and friends of my husband. So when I moved at the first time, this was easier, of course, because I was not alone, and it was like, okay, I could talk to people and stuff, but these people cannot really understand you. I mean, apart from my husband, who was also living in Austria for a while, many people have like zero international experience. They cannot understand any aspect of what you are going through. And so I had this strong need from the beginning that I want to find my own friends. Of course, friends of my husband, they are great. We can be friends. This is all fine, like family of my friends, the same. But I wanted to have my own friends. And as you are a foreigner in a country, then you of course leaning more toward foreigners to meet and be a friend with. Not that I am also totally excluding Spanish people, but still, like there is this kind of natural attraction to become a friend with a foreigner. It's much easier. So that I had to find my own friends, people who can understand better the situation I am in, and this kind of stuff. Compared to Austria, I am now way more immersed into Spanish society, exactly because I have my husband and I have his family and his friends, that I am basically a part of the society. Like I know people. I follow the situation in the country on the news and such stuff because they are following, and I'm sometimes watching with them. In Austria, I have to say I was mostly excluded from the Austrian everyday life because most of my friends were um, were foreigners. We were not watching television ever, except for this one period of COVID when we had to know what's going on in the country in order basically to survive. No, we were almost our own island and almost completely separated from the rest of the society. I met some Austrians, of course, at the institute, at work, but I have very few Austrian friends. I have a couple, but not so many. So most people that I became friends with, they are foreigners, and now
Yes.
they are all over the world. Very few of them remained in Austria. So now we have this very difficult task of maintaining our friendships while we are all living in a different country.
Yeah. You were basically living in your own bubble in Lunds because it was such a small place and it was full of internationals. So you had your friends from abroad, and there were not many Austrians. Some people who were there mostly came from different countries like Spain, France, Croatia, and other countries. And you were not really watching news. I don't watch news in Germany. I don't have a TV, and I hear about things happening from my German friends, but I don't really engage into media. But in Spain, it's really different because you have your husband at home, and then probably he's watching stuff and he's engaging, and because it's his country. And we were watching news, and we are still following the situation in Serbia. So it's kind of like this feeling of, following the news in your own country. So now you join him in that activity. And yes, I mean, I completely understand this feeling of you wanting to have your own friends because you started a new job, but it was not in Madrid, and you lived in Madrid. So it was really harder for you to have friends who you meet very spontaneously at the institute because it was in a different city. You wanted to see people and go out and have some drinks or food and go to some things happening in the city.
Yeah, I would say it's for me in Austria where I lived. I mean, there were many foreigners, so it's not just from our region, but in general, there were many foreigners from the US, from Latin America, from China, from Africa. There were people from all over the world, also from other European, from other EU countries, as they can understand you way better. This is one thing, your situation. And it wasn't just that. I would say I became aware of this only once I left Lund, because I thought it's okay. We are friends in Austria, in Lund, because we are working together and we get close because we are colleagues. But then once I moved to Belgium for my research stay for a couple of months, I realized it's not just that, because when I was at university in Leuven, I realized that the situation was like kind of half-half. There were half of Belgians who are more or less locals there, and there were also a lot of foreigners. And then you realize why it's so much easier to become friends with foreigners. It's because people who are Belgians, many of them were actually very friendly. If we would have a beer, because I think like every second week on Friday, we had some kind of beers at the department. And of course, they were very nice when we were talking then. But then at some point, you realize they all have their own friends from elementary school, from high school, from the earlier studies. They all have their friends there. They have their family there. They have no time to socialize with you. They go to work, they do their job, and then they go home. And if they want to socialize, they're going to call their old friends to socialize. Especially, they're not going to socialize with someone who is there for just a couple of months, because what happens afterwards? I mean, you are going to lose contact. So it's kind of doesn't pay off for them. And if you meet someone who is a foreigner there, they're also looking for friends. They're also looking for new connections. And then, of course, it's way easier to become friends with people like that who are in a similar situation as you are. And I
Yes.
also would like to point out, because I noticed what I said, that some people, I heard these stories. I did not experience it so much myself, but I heard these stories that if you go to some place and then people realize that you are staying there for a short time can also be a couple of years, because you are eventually going to leave. And to some people that I know, it happened that they meet someone, they start talk to them, and then when this person realizes that you're going to move in a year or two, they say, sorry, but I don't really want to get to know you better or become friend with you, sometimes even very directly, because they don't want to lose a friend at some point. And to me, I think this is a huge pity because, okay, first, you can be friends this period of time that this person is there. And the other stuff is, I think it's very nice that you look at one point in your life backwards and you realize you have friends in many different countries, that you can go visit them, that you can organize these trips where you are going to see each other again, catch up. And I think this is a wonderful part of friendship because you don't have to be close to each other and able to go for a coffee a couple of times per month to be able to stay friends. It's very nice that you have friends in different countries, that you sometimes you can just plan your holiday to go to see a friend and still go to a wonderful location. You can go to the sea, to the mountain. People live in all sorts of places. And I think this is wonderful that you, when you say like, okay, I don't have to book an expensive hotel because I can stay at my friend's place. Plus, I can catch up with them. This doesn't hurt to become a friend with someone who's going to move out because there are good sides to that.
Yes, and taking a little bit of your time to call every now and then and catch up or text for a little bit, it won't hurt you so much. So even if you are away, you can still catch up. It's not like a partner that you have to be constantly in touch with, or not constantly, but very often in touch with, so you can like still keep going. With friends, you can not talk to them for months even and still like call then and catch up very nicely and then meet once a year, twice a year. It's where it makes you feel very rich and it's very valuable. Yeah, I agree.
Definitely. And just so that it doesn't look like I am going to places to visit my friends so I can stay there for free. All my friends are always welcome to come and visit me. So, and they all know that because I keep repeating this all the time. So this goes both sides.
Yeah, and also I think you are soon going to create a calendar because you are having many visits. So,
Yeah,
I
I
think,
kind
yeah.
of already have a calendar and I am very excited about it. So I am very happy that my friends also coming to visit me because then I can share with them something from Spanish culture. We can go to Spanish restaurants, try some different stuff for them that I can actually introduce them to. And to me, this is really wonderful. I enjoy being a host and a guest.
It's not just about, as you said, traveling. That's what it means to keep the friendship alive. You go visit them, they come visit you, you talk every now and then, and it's very valuable because you get to still have them in your life. And even though you met and stayed together for only some months or a year or two, for example, you still have your friends from Lund, from way back in Austria. And it's amazing. They even came to Serbia for your wedding. So it's really great. And that's also like showing the cultural exchange that you are having, meeting them and talking, exchanging the stories where it shows what is this culture like and what is their culture like, but also seeing it on the spot. So they came to Serbia, they came to your wedding, they were traveling a bit, and they got to see it firsthand. So it's very nice. As you were talking about the people in Belgium, like if you don't give people a chance, you're gonna stay short of that because they just didn't give a little bit of their time to socialize with people who they don't know forever or for a long time and who are not going to stay for a long time.
Yeah, it's yeah, I think this is important. I think some people are missing out, but of course, this is up to everybody to decide.
Yes, but also I think there is other side to it of people who travel abroad and who know that they are going to be there for a short time and they themselves don't want to engage in meeting new people and having new friendships. And they're also missing out because I know many people from Serbia who went for a short stay abroad for an internship or even masters abroad. And they came back because they thought, okay, they missed their friends, they missed their family, and they just couldn't handle it. They felt so lonely. And at sometimes that's true. Sometimes people where you stay, people just don't engage in social meetings, they don't engage into getting to know you better, but sometimes it's just our own fault that we don't give people a chance. And then we come back and we stay still short of the experience because we went there, we were, for example, studying, and we were just studying to finish because we couldn't stand the place where we were. But I always feel like the place has much more to offer, and it's on us to make that experience count.
Yes, definitely. My first experience being abroad was, as I said, in Lund, and there it was easier because we were all foreigners. I knew people that lived in Vienna, and they were complaining a lot that they could not meet people and that they could not make friends. And when you compare Vienna, that has around, I don't know, 2 million people, and Lund that has 1,000, 1,500 people overall living there, then it's just like insane how contradictory it is. Then you realize that in small places, the more isolated you are, the more you are searching for this kind of friendship and contact with people. While in Vienna, I guess you have so many options that sometimes you are a bit confused and not know how to focus your search, your effort. And what I said, if you go to Vienna and you end up in a work group or a study program where there are many Austrians who have friends already in Vienna, then it's going to be a bit more difficult. And from my first place, I don't have much experience in searching for friends, but I have experience after. And it's I mean, it's not easy. It depends. Sometimes you are lucky and meet people kind of on a first attempt to get to know more people, but sometimes there are a lot of fails. I got a lot of fails here in Spain. I was going to this kind of meetup events that did not really make much result, or I was going to the activities that I knew that in Austria they work, but then there I was not meeting people. And there is actually no rule. It's just you go to a certain event or you go to a certain course. If there are people that are searching for friends or they are similar like you and you connect with them, then you will meet new friends. But if there are people who have other interests, who have other aims in their life, like they're not looking for friends, they're just doing the course, then yes, you are not going to become friends with them. And this should not discourage you. It sometimes just takes time. But I was not just going for a course to meet people and to find friends, but of course, this was something that I was hoping for as a one kind of side benefit of certain courses. And sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. I think it depends a lot on people who are there, and this is basically just chance.
No, I think you can never know. You went for a German course in Austria and you met a very good friend that you still have. And you didn't go there for the sake of meeting friends. It's just a social part of it because if you go for something, for, I don't know, like a dancing class or gym or Pilates or a language course or something. Of course, the other part of doing that is having people around you. And sometimes you just connect with these people and you become friends. And sometimes you just go through the course or through the training without actually seeing somebody afterwards. And it's not that you should aim for going places to meet friends, but you should aim to have more hobbies. And you should aim for just being out more and doing what you like. And in these kind of activities, of course, you are going to find the people that are thinking like you because you are doing what you like and they are doing what they like. So you seem like like-minded people, and it's much more often that you are gonna end up being friends.
Yeah, when I was saying I was going for courses, yes, I was going for courses that I was interested in. So I was going for language courses. I am going to a gym and to dance courses, things that genuinely I am interested in. And of course, I would not go for, some kind of course just because I have a feeling that there are people there who I'm going to meet and get well with them. Yes, of course. If it's a hobby that you are interested in and the other people is interested in, you already have a common point. to talk about. But also, I was going to events which were like there this meetup app or something like this. So they're aimed for meeting people. You're going there because you want to meet people and the other person wants to meet people. Yes. But also these kind of events sometimes don't end up with meeting anybody because, yeah, sometimes it just doesn't click. You don't click and that's it.
Because you sometimes just don't have a lot of common ground where to start from.
Yeah, it happens. For this meetup app, there are a lot of events that have some certain theme. There is a group of people who like hiking. So, okay, the aim is that you, as we said, that you have at least one thing in common, or you meet that you can talk about actually, and that there is a chance that you're going to get close. But yeah, of course, there are many other things that need to work out, and sometimes they don't. This is also happening.
Yeah. So I would say that there is a lot of things to talk about. Making new friendships is one of them. And when we are talking about our experiences in more detail in the future, people that are part of that experience, we are going to talk about them as well. There will be a time and opportunity where we can actually also get into give more context to all this. But it's just important to say that this is kind of the feeling of what we are going to talk about. We are going to discuss our personal experiences mostly, and if people have questions for us, we are going to try and answer them as well.
Yes.
And in the future, we are going to focus into more detail of our journeys with traveling abroad and moving abroad and administrative stuff, but also generally life abroad. And if there are any questions, it's important to say that we have our blog page where we write every week about our experiences, about the differences between our mother country and the country where we live at the moment. It's called Ausländerin.blog. We have our Instagram page, which is called Auslander Sisters, where we post about our life in general, what's happening at the moment, where we share more about our blog posts, where we share some shots from the recording of our podcast. And we have this podcast, which is called Ausländerin. You can see here our stories. You can hear some short parts, but also you can hear the whole episodes. And we have a Buy Me a Coffee account where you can support us, because it would be nice to see you there as well, because we are going to have some exclusive content there soon. And do we have another page?
There is a Facebook page, which is also called Ausländerin. I was also wanted to add that regarding Buy Me a Coffee, we are going to define different membership levels, which of course each of them is going to include some extra features, which are going to be defined very, very soon. And we would like to invite you to follow us on social media and also subscribe here on the channel so you will get updated. And hopefully we are going to soon have a community, official community, probably on Instagram or something like that. Maybe here also on YouTube is possible to have it, and where we are going to go more into details about the specific questions or to share some extra material and stuff. So we would be really happy if you can join us, like, subscribe, and see you soon. Bye.